the scars remind me to appreciate the days I don't have to.
Years. You've never been too far out of my mind.
Yeah, likewise.
And you know what? And that's like any old friend or old colleague or schoolmate or spouse, whatever are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Just so you know, we're on the clock now. So anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
I keep getting like a gym flash here. It says Jim. Is Jim there?
I'm here. I'm so looking forward to this. I've known
I
Michael.
got to tell you guys, first of all, let me just say that, I watched about, 12, 15 of these last fall, over the winter, and then my viewing habits changed. I stopped watching TV because summer came to Sweden, and so I've been off the
Flintstones came on.
Yeah, I haven't been current, but I got to tell you, and I watched like 4 or 5 in the last day since we set this up, and I really enjoy you guys.
Thank you.
I really enjoy you, Michael, because it's unvarnished, it's real, it's from the cockpit, kind of. You've been in the seat, you've done it all, and then Kalen has he's remarkable, just as your wingman there, and then Jim. He's like his acumen and his fountain of knowledge and just the way he can kind of like be spot on. And for me, it all dovetails with my life and my experience. So I'm not the normal viewer, or maybe you have a handful of viewers like me who have the context. And when you drop a name, I'm talking to the television, giving my experience of what happened to me with that person or that day, or and it's just like it's been such a reward in a weird way. I mean, I like a lot of podcasts. I listen to quite a few because I'm a YouTube kind. That's how I get my content, is YouTube.
Yeah,
and so I pick and choose, but you go straight to the heart, and I just want to say thanks right off the bat for that.
Well
done for you to stick with it. And I know you got a team there around you that keeps you honest. So it's well done. It's well done.
Well, I don't. The good thing about me, Rick, is that at this point in my life, I don't have any secrets from anybody, including my wife and my children, and like no secrets, none.
Smart way to live.
It's it's a.
You don't have to make anything up,
Yeah, you don't have to have anxiety about saying
that coming out or this coming out.
Imagine if we could have had that kind of ability in our youth, the wisdom and the experience, and what that would have maybe how we would have gained from that. Because I know I suffered from a lot of things in my career early, like from not being sure, and if you're a fraud or whatnot, and here we are, we're pushing 70, and we have all this backstory.
Still working on that. I'm still working on those issues. Maybe one day I'll get on top of it. But
we'll never stop.
No.
Well, one of the first things that I noticed, Rick, when you came up was that painting behind you, of course, is Vincent Chase.
Chase.
Maybe you can talk just.
Eva painted that. My wife painted that.
Oh,
painting
she did. I didn't know she was that good.
Wow.
She was an incredible artist. She had I wouldn't let her really sell any paintings. She sold some stuff, but I said, please let's not sell things. Let's just keep things. So it's my collection. I don't have to buy art, because I had some friends who were just really into buying art, of course.
Yeah.
And I said, I just want to support your creativity. And boy, she just really produced. And we put on shows, and we, here in Sweden, and we did things. And we did a little bit in Ojai too. That we had.
I would imagine, Ojai is kind of an artist community.
It really is, and she was part of that community, and she did life drawing there for, I don't know, 25 years, a couple times a week. I have thousands of beautiful illustrations, and lots of sculptures and paintings. But she did that painting of Vince, and I really fancied it, and I've always carried it forward. And Vince was such a central part of my life, kind of like a second father,
Yeah.
if you will, because he kind of, after I remember the first comments he made about me. Well, he has his brother's a football player, actor, and that was about all he could say about me at the beginning. And he didn't really hold much promise for me, but it developed, and you and me and Bill Paxton, we were his three sons in a way, Michael. He really, that was his, at the end of his life, those were his babies in a strange way.
We were.
And,
I remember Vince. I knew Vince, and I can just today picture that studio of his.
Yeah, above the Swiss Cleaners.
Above the Swiss Cleaners.
Smelled like dog.
Between Rock and Roll Ralph's and Famous Amos Cookies on Sunset Boulevard.
Sunset
like
Boulevard.
It was yesterday. Yep.
It's so amazing. Yeah, I first went there in 1978, I think.
That would have been about the time.
I first went to Hollywood in 77. I was a sophomore in college, and my brother had just retired from the NFL, and he had all his connections from the days at USC and the stunt community, and he got into doing some stunts, and then he got into some bit acting, and then all of a sudden he had a ladder up, and I went down and visited, and I just really wanted, I was just chomping at the bit. I said, I want part of this. And I was out with all these Stunts Unlimited guys, that whole crew.
Yeah.
And that was the crew you wanted to be around, right?
Yeah.
They were really
That's an introduction to the business right there.
Yeah. And Jimmy Nickerson, kind of a famous stuntman, said, you know what, take your time, go back, finish college. You're young. I was just like, not even 19. And he said, come back and you'll do fine. And so I took that advice. I went home. I took a summer trip to Europe, backpacked around Europe for a few months, and came home and promptly went to the river in my local little town up in Northern California and slipped and fell on a rock and cut my leg to the bone. And I was in the wilderness alone with three buddies, thankfully, but I was far away from help, and I could have bled to death easily, but I didn't. They held a compression bandage on my leg, and they sent a crew. It took 8 hours to get to the hospital.
Wow.
I got there. The doctor made some mistakes. He wrapped it up, put some staples in it, put me in a room. I got gangrene over the weekend. And they were ready to amputate my leg at the hip when my parents said, he's 19 years old, or 20. I wasn't even 20 yet. What is this? I was a bodybuilder. I was full of life. I had all these aspirations, and they put me in an air ambulance, flew me to San Francisco, and I went through a bunch of surgeries and 75 hours in a hyperbaric chamber.
Wow.
Killed the infection, saved my leg, but I lost about half my leg below the knee. Now, I think you might know that, Michael. And you can see it in Navy SEALs. That's a good one because I wore shorts. I didn't care. And but I had about 3 months of recovery at home, so I could let the skin grafts repair. And I got in my car and I drove to Hollywood in 1978 and lived with my brother. And he got me my first job in a TV show at Universal called When the Whistle Blows. He played the hunk. It was about construction workers working construction and the hijinks therein. And Charles Martin Smith was one of the cast members. Isn't that funny?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And there I was shooting. I was his stand-in, my brother's stand-in. So there I was next to the camera for the next 4 months, learning every little bit about what show business was all about. So that was my introduction to Hollywood. It got canceled. It was a Leonard Goldberg series.
Yeah.
We were shooting next to the Incredible Hulk, Hulk, I mean. And it was heady for me. All of a sudden, I'm in Hollywood. I joined the Screen Extras Guild. I was a stand-in. I got to, get silent bits every week. Everyone loved me. I was having a ball. My leg was healing. And then the show was canceled. And I think we even went on strike. I know the strike came later. But anyway, it was canceled. And, then that was, it was over. And I said, okay, now what? Now I don't want to be an extra. I had a taste of what it felt like to be, I had a taste of what it felt like to be around the camera. I got into class with Vince because Tim knew Vince, and that was my introduction to Vince.
Tim knew Vince. Tim, that was your introduction. Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Tim was in class.
Let me ask you this question, Rick. Your brother, older brother, he's no longer with us. Which I'm sorry about. But he was, amongst a lot of other things, co-captain of a USC team.
USC's national champion.
National championship team.
Back with O.J. Simpson, yeah.
Wow.
Did he play with O.J.?
He played with O.J. Yeah. O.J. was a year younger.
Okay. And
Tim graduated in '68, went to the Eagles, played for the Eagles. And
what position did he play, Rick?
Middle linebacker.
He was a middle linebacker. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Middle linebacker.
Yeah.
And as a kid, he was 12 years older, and I idolized him, and there was nothing like him. He was a force of nature and
I can imagine.
Irrepressible and just kind of a maniac, and he had a reputation, and he partied, and a little too hard. And I think then you have was it CTE, the brain disorder?
Yeah.
Yes.
He was banging his head on everything. That poor guy.
Well, middle linebacker, my God.
Yeah, he gave me my start, and we lived together, but I couldn't, it was just too much, it was just too much. So I had to I had to move on and get my own little place. And it's funny, Michael, because, then I was I was left to my own, wits. I was in class, so I was doing some study, and I was trying to learn the ropes that way, but I was looking for a way to get into the Screen Actors Guild, and a great actor buddy of mine, Peter Jason. I don't know if you know who he is, Peter Jason. Yeah, he was a Walter Hill kind of regular. He got me my first. He got me into the Guild through Gary Grover, who was Orson Welles' cinematographer.
Wow.
And they were making a small movie with Cameron Mitchell. Imagine this. And they got me a date on that. And I got my Screen Actors Guild card.
Wow.
Working with Cameron Mitchell.
What year was this?
About 1979. It happened fast for me. I
know it did.
It happened fast, and then all of a sudden, but before that, I was scrambling for everything. So I went to an open call for a Korean karate film. They were shooting in Hollywood.
You don't look very Korean, but I can play Korean. I can play Korean.
Well, I
needed a punching bag.
I was up for a CIA agent's role. I went
of course.
to this office on Sunset Boulevard, up on the strip there, right above West Hollywood, and I went in and I kind of auditioned, and I met the people, and I charmed my way through it, and sure, I can do this, I can do that. I've done stunts, I've done everything, I've done nothing, but I bullshitted my way through it, and they said, okay, we want you, and so then I show up at the Tropicana Motel. Imagine the old Tropicana, right there on West Hollywood, and I have to do a stunt into a pool. Where this buxom blonde double agent is going to come over and give me some karate moves, and then give me a flip into the pool, and that's my scene.
Okay.
And so So
not much of a stunt, right? Not a big deal. Yeah, get thrown into a pool by a pretty girl. Right.
And we kind of block it. We kind of dance around a bit, and then we, it's action, and I do, boom, I come into her. She does this, flip. I fly into the air. She kicks me, boom. And she kicks me right in my bad leg, which is still kind of hasn't even healed. It hasn't even healed yet. It's still kind of open. And I do the flip into the pool, and I go underwater, and I know she's hit me right in the leg where it's going to hurt the worst. And I look up, and all the bubbles are going up into the lights, into the pool, and I surfaced from that water. It was like a baptismal. I got to tell you, it was so surreal.
Wow.
The lights, the bubbles, and the applause from all the crew around the pool for a successful moment on film. And I got out, went to the undressed. Nobody knew the better that I had a bad leg. Nobody knew the better. So from that moment on, you know what? fuck everybody. No one's going to stop me. I don't care. You know, I got it now.
Well,
Little did I know there'd be plenty of shit to,
Imagine having a life-changing moment at the
Yeah.
Tropicana Motel.
And it's gone, it was gone
Oh,
soon
yeah.
after, torn down.
well, Rick, I wanted to ask you about your injury and whether or not were you as athletic as your brother? And I
Well,
wanted.
no one, he was world class, but in high school, I think he won the state shot put.
Okay.
He was drafted by the Cleveland Indians to play baseball at high school.
Okay.
He boxed,
Okay.
and he was just USC said come here and play John McKay.
Right.
So
But you're even with a good leg, you were not in the
yeah,
same.
I was a high school American where they picked like 300 of us across the whole country. My brother was a high school All-American when he was the only one from California.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
11. So
Right.
that was the difference. I was pretty good. I was a wide receiver. But, after high school, I went to, State University, and I wanted to be an artist. I was an art major. I was a sculptor. That's what I really wanted to do. I thought I would be a set designer, really, to tell you the truth. But then my first taste in Hollywood was like, it's intoxicating, It's
People clapping for you.
Yeah,
They don't clap for the guys painting them.
And I was always kind of a ham in school, and I was, had a big mouth and always, had to be, first in line, and so bit of a bully even. I don't know. What an asshole, Rossovich.
Well, let me ask you about, before. So we met on Lords of Discipline, correct? Is that how we met?
We met at Vince's, really. You were the big shot. Hey, listen, I wanted to tell you, you know what you're doing now, and no pun intended, but you really are the fan. The way you love movies, the way you talk about it, the way you can analyze it and keep it real. You know what? And I saw that when I first came into class. You were in the A group. I was in the C group. You don't want to fucking audition for anybody. You didn't even want to do a scene in front of us. You know what? I'm just going to do it when it counts.
I was just in there looking for pretty girls.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay. Darlene she was cute. So I met you there, and but you were matriculating already. You were on your way, so you were something to look at as an aspiration, and the rest of us, we were doing song night and going slogging through this and that, and having to do all the humiliations you have to do in class to kind of toughen yourself up to weather the storm when you get on the set. So you were on your way, but Lords of Discipline, we first met in class, and we were both going for roles, and I don't know really how I got that. I got that script in class, so I was able to work on it like you probably did for a good while before we auditioned. But I was really lucky to get the audition.
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you a couple of questions before we get to that. And one is, everybody is aware, or anybody that knows you is aware that that you had a chance to work with Tom Cruise, and how interesting that might be, working with Tom Cruise. But I went back and I looked, and actually, you did 2 pictures with Tom Cruise.
Yeah. I was in Tom's worst performing film of all time, and also the film that cemented his stardom. So, you can take that with a grain of salt. And I wrote an essay once, 10,000 Days with Tom Cruise, kind of like, my Vietnam. That was the first question. That was my question I got every time. What was it like to work with Tom Cruise, for years and years and years?
Well, let me ask you this, Rick, because I went on, there's a lot
that movie was called Losing It.
Yes.
Yeah. A great director, Curtis Hanson.
Oh yeah, he made L.A. Confidential years later.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that great Michael Douglas movie with Tobey Maguire. What was that called, Jim?
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. That one, I'm very fond of that one. Yeah.
great director, great guy. He directed that. It was a romp. Jackie Earle Haley and John Stockwell, teenagers down in Mexico, and I played a Marine. They kept coming across and kept spoiling their time. And I tell you, I auditioned for it, didn't get it, but they gave it to a guy who was a football player, a young guy, and didn't think he was going to make it in the NFL. He got cast, and then he got called up, and so all of a sudden they're on the phone to me saying, "Can you be in Mexico tomorrow?" I was on a plane, and that changed my life. I got to tell you, because that gave me a little bit of entree to say I've been in a feature, because I'd only done a couple TV things.
Mm-hmm.
BJ and the Bear and Eight is Enough was my first TV job. Isn't that fun? And BJ and the Bear with Murray Hamilton. Can you imagine? There I am with Murray Hamilton, who I was watching in Jaws just a few years before, the mayor in Jaws. And it's surreal that when you think about the journey and the people that kind of you saw from afar on television or in a movie theater flickering there and in the dark, and then all of a sudden years later, I was a teenager and I was crushed for a weekend because I was in love with Susan Day on the Partridge Family.
Yeah.
And I think,
she married her.
I'm never gonna meet her. I don't have I lived on a ranch in the middle of Northern California. I'm never gonna meet Susan Day. And she was, this sassy little thing, and I was so in love with her. And then I would make a movie with her, and I would say, "Ew, what was I thinking? What was I thinking?" Nice woman. Yeah. But it's so strange. It's so surreal to think, that like my first job there, losing it, and but that really kind of gave me a little bit of pondus, which means a little bit of power in Swedish, to feel, that I kind of like I was starting to, gain my footing.
Well, Rick, first of all, I started watching that movie, okay? And it was interesting to me that James Earl Haley, that's his name, Haley, right?
Jackie Earle Haley.
Jackie Earle Haley seemed to be a little bit more of like the engine, the stud of the three of them. Tom Cruise was kind of he kind of played
the book, a little booky.
Yeah, kind of washed out a little bit. So I'm watching it. I watched it for about a half an hour, 35 minutes or so, and it's not Curtis Hansen's best, effort, the whole thing was, had some, but I'm watching it, so they pick up Shelley Long, who's in it, and Shelley, very young, obviously very young Shelley Long, and who's I think must have been older than the rest of them, but maybe not.
Yeah, she was 10 years.
They pick up Shelley Long and they drive down to Mexico, and as they're driving down to Mexico, I see this guy in a uniform going like, "Hey," like this, right? Like, I need a ride. Yeah. And I thought, like, it went by so fast, I thought, what was that? That couldn't have been Rick. That's not like, so I went back and I watched it over again. I'm like, I think that was Rick. I think that was Rick. But they just drove by and you're like this. And so I watched it a third time and I go, that was Rick. And then they were heading down to Mexico, and I figured that was it for you. I didn't know you were.
I kept showing up.
Oh, you did. And, I'm sorry, I didn't watch. Sorry, I didn't watch it. Now I just kind of thought
we shot that. We shot that scene, and we shot the end scene because they tagged it with a food fight at Neptune's Net. Imagine that.
Oh, really? Really? Wow. The legendary.
Neptune's Net, and. It was screwball. We shot it down in Calexico, Mexico, and a little bit in Los Angeles, and a little bit out there in Malibu. But it was so fun to be on the set. You know me, Michael. I show up on the set with a boom box. I'm making noise, and I try to bring some energy, and it was a good time for me because I was a bit older. I'm probably Tom's probably. 63, 64 now, and so it's 5 years.
Right.
And Jackie and
Okay.
I were about the same age, but
Right.
in Stockwell about the same
I'm
age.
really bummed that I didn't watch the whole movie now. Then I
Yeah,
would have had
there's not
plenty.
much there.
I
There's a
just,
donkey scene. There's a donkey gag, and there's some gags. And I'm naked. In it. I'm naked a little bit, which I'm prone to do in movies. I
yes,
get naked a
yes,
little bit.
yeah. Well, I think 90% of the shots on the volleyball court in Top Gun were you,
A
actually.
little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit of that.
Okay, so go. Okay, so after
So
you go
that
ahead.
led to Lords.
That led to Lords of Discipline. That
Yeah.
led to Lords of Discipline. Okay.
That gave me enough of a little bit of a wedge because I was really fighting for an audition to get in there because I'd read the book, had the script in class. I really identified with the character because my mother was a full-blooded Italian. My dad, a Yugoslav mix, and I had that energy, and I really wanted to. I could feel that character, and I tell you, I somehow I wangled an audition. It was on the back lot of Paramount. It was out in the trailers, in the far recesses of the studio lot. And funny, this is a funny story. My hometown was about 500 miles away, and my mom was down to visit me that week. And she was there, and I said, you know what? This is the biggest thing in my life. But I say, Mom, why don't you just come with me to the audition? Drive with me. Drive on the lot, and you can just wait, and I'll come out, and it'd be kind of a treat for her. And I was close to my mom, and she said, okay. She didn't feel like she was interrupting anything. So, and I was prepared. I was really prepared. So we went to the meeting, and we got to there, and I parked, and I said, you know what? You're not going to sit here in the hot car. Just come in with me. You can wait in the waiting room. So I went into the audition with Rodham, and we had a great meeting, and I read, and it was well, and I said to him, I said, before I left, I said, I think the real key to this character is here's his problem. He's really a mama's boy. That's his problem. He's never gotten over that, and that's why he's a bully, and that's why he wants to pick on everybody, and that's why he never could get out of that plebe system and join the upper ranks. And I go, you know what, Frank? You want to meet my mom? He said, what? Yeah. I said, you want to meet my mom? Because she's waiting out in the waiting room right now.
I never
said,
done,
what?
I know. I thought of everything for an audition, but I never brought my mom with me.
Bringing mom, yeah.
And he came out and he met my mother, and she couldn't have been more gracious. And I went away, and then they said, okay, then you can audition with Biehn. And we're going to have the entire studio brass show up at the Paramount Theater. And all the executives, Jeffrey Katzenberg included, showed up. And we had to audition there. And that went like this. I was behind a curtain, and they said, okay, action. This is Dante Pignetti, Rick Rossovich. No one met me before. And I picked up a metal folding chair, and I broke that chair over a table behind the curtain and just spent about 30 seconds just completely breaking this table to pieces. And I came out behind that curtain, and I went down the line of executives, hazing every one of them. I mean, screaming at the top of my lungs, spitting, going nuts. And then Malcolm De Niro was at the end. And then I got him, and I just tore into him, like the scene in the movie, pretty much, and gave it to him. And then I disappeared, and that was it. And they said, yeah, okay. Okay. He just has to be bigger. He's not big enough yet. I was slim, I was in good shape,
Right.
but I wasn't a Hulk. And so they said, if you can put on some weight, you got the role. So I went to the Jim Morris gym in West Hollywood there, and I got a doctor to script me up some steroids. And after 10 weeks, I gained almost 30 pounds.
Wow.
And away we went to London, Michael. And your story is different. You took a different route, but you presented yourself really beautifully in that role. And that's what the film needed. It needed more of your kind of energy and your kind of commitment and what Paramount kind of sold out to taking the shortcut, thinking they had a ticket with David Keith, but that really added up to not much. I'm sorry.
Well, I watched it again last night, and I told the story last time when your name came up on the podcast about how we all read and you did your thing, and Malcolm was there, and Paxton was probably there, and everybody got cast, and I was there to play the lead.
Paxton wasn't there. No,
he wasn't. Who was there?
No.
Who was with us? Do you remember? Was it just me, you, and Malcolm? Or was it
Malcolm and
the gay guy?
Yeah, I don't think.
The Lichtenstein.
He might have been there, and might have been John. I'm drawing a blank.
Okay, well, it doesn't really make it doesn't really make any difference. My memory of it was going in.
I met Paxton first. The first time I met him was in London, and as soon as I saw him, I hazed him.
You hazed him.
I dressed him down. I just dominated him completely. And he goes, "Fuck, man, I better get it up." This guy's crazy.
Well, you were out of your fucking mind, Rick.
I was channeling my brother a little bit, I had some sources to go to really kind of to get that right. It could have been a great movie. It was a great book.
Well, here's when I looked at it, Rick, it's well shot, it's well acted, but there's no action in it. No. There's not much for women, There's not much story from a woman's standpoint, and it is. It doesn't have like a handle that you can.
It's part of my homoerotic ovar. It's all these guy movies and the military schemes.
Yeah.
Well, we also had on that movie Mark Breland.
We lived together, yeah.
And Mark went on to win the gold medal as a welterweight and
world champion welterweight. Yeah.
Yeah, and signed a big deal. And we had G.D. Spradlin in that movie, and G.D. Spradlin was
Robert Prosky
and Bob Prosky,
who
was great. And David Keith, I thought was fine in it. My feeling about David at the time was it just seemed like he was like every weekend he was taking off to go see
the Rolling Stones one weekend and somebody else the next weekend.
Yeah. And he didn't seem to be like that concentrated on what he was doing, but he was fine in the movie. And he actually said to me at one point, you're good. You're gonna do well. But I think one of the reasons that I was so holding that fucking anger in, but was the fact that as I told you that Frank made me, after I didn't get the role, after they gave it to David Keith, that was like, oh fuck, man, that's terrible. And then there's this other role of the bad guy, the bad cadet. You wanna come in and I just thought I would go in and meet Frank, or they just offer it to me. But Frank made me read for that, and I think ever since then I've always
just for him, or did you
not for the studio. No, the studio was happy that they'd gotten David Keith. And another interesting thing about that movie was that Mitchell Lichtenstein, is that his name?
Yeah.
Mitchell Lichtenstein.
His father, Roy.
His father is a very, very well-known, very famous artist, and Roy Lichtenstein. And he played a character in the movie, and I'm not sure. I don't think I ever read the book, but he played a character in the movie that seemed to be a little bit light in the loafers for that type of genteel Southern, but just a little bit. So, and Frank cast him, and they cast him, and I think that when he was in America, I think that, being gay back then was like, that was like, you just, like,
Right.
nobody was gay. That just was
It was
like,
hard, a little bit
that
harder.
was, what year was that? That was
That would have been about 81 or 2. I was
82.
working at,
We shot it maybe the summer of 82 in London.
yeah.
Yeah. And, you just don't come out like that so much, but Frank brought him over to London, and he was kind of away from his family.
Away from us. Yeah, he was doing his own thing too.
And
Yeah.
he sort of started coming out,
Yeah.
He started becoming a little bit more gay in in his acting and in his whole persona. He was kind of liberated over there, and I think Frank had to go, whoa,
Bring him in.
whoa, slow down a little bit, and
It was a bit disappointing that it didn't land.
Did you
everything
think
was
that?
so
Did you think, Rick, were you a type of an actor that, like, when that movie came out, I was doing, I thought I was good in it. I saw it once. I thought it was good, but it was a long time before I realized that being in a hit was really fucking important. I mean, were you right from the
We
very...
learned that the next year. When Terminator kind of did us all a favor.
By
being a hit.
Well,
by being,
here's what I think, Rick, about. All right, so we met Bill. I met Bill there. You met
Right.
Bill there, and I can only describe Rick as on that movie as the most, I know you got the bad leg and everything, but the most physical, the most dominant, the loudest, the
I picked on everybody.
angry, not real anger, kind of, he'd come up to you with a big smile on his face, and he'd say, if you don't get out of my way, I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to fucking put you in the trash can. And I was a little bit like, I'll get out of your way. You go ahead. But you always had a big smile on your face, but there was always this sense of like violence around you, And
I wanted to have that sense. We all rode together in a bus in the morning. They picked us all up at different places, and we went on the bus. And I'd have the boom box, and I would play "L.A. Woman," The Doors, top volume, and I'd time it so when the bus would land at Twickenham at the studio, I'd get off and I would run through the stage, and I'd run through the sets and the food line, and I'd just be shouting "L.A. Woman," and I was completely, and then I would disappear to the honey wagon. I'd have to hide for a little bit to compose myself. I wanted to set like this kind of tension.
You did. You did.
Mission accomplished.
But,
yeah.
And we had a lot of fun after the fact too. In the evenings and on the weekends and whatnot.
Let me ask you.
Who gets to go to London to make a movie?
I know, and I
become old hat to you after a while.
I actually was married at that time, and I was with my wife.
Married man. You were way ahead of
with
everybody.
Carlene. Yeah, well, I was way ahead of you. We'll get to the point where you're investing all your money, and I'm remarrying and having 20 kids.
Listen, I was in a relationship with a woman who was 12 years older than me
at that time.
Susanna Martin, a clothing designer, who had this incredible life, who danced at the Whiskey A Go-Go when Jimi Hendrix was playing, and she was one of those cages. She was one of Warren Beatty's early loves. And
did you meet her in London?
There are a lot of women in LA who could say that.
Did you meet her in London?
She gave me a handbag that George Harrison gave her because he was a lover.
Wow.
Are you talking about? Did you meet her in London?
No, I met her in L.A.
Okay, all right.
We were together for about 2 years, and she came over to London because she wanted to get married. And Frank Rodham said, Paramount will throw the wedding. And I said, oh, God, this is all moving a little fast for me.
For you, you and her.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I said, this is moving a little fast. All of a sudden, I kind of said, well, she's 12 years older. I love her, but I don't know if this is going to work, if it's right. And I was having some fun there too. I met some gals, and
Yeah.
I was kind of like stringing along 3 different girls there. And so I was having my way. I carried it through the whole way, and I said, this isn't going to work. And we remained really good friends. But she went home, and we caught up later. And then I met the love of my life when I got back. And Lourdes was in the theaters, and I already started dropping the weight. And I didn't even look like that guy anymore, Michael. I changed completely. After Lourdes was over, I lost the weight, and I kind of trimmed up. And I met Eva, and she was from Sweden. She was on holiday there. She came to my brother's house for a birthday party, and we met. And I asked her to marry me that night. She was
You asked her to marry, or she asked you to marry?
I asked her to marry me
that night. The night you met her.
Night.
Wow.
We've been married 42 years.
My word.
Did she say yes that night?
She said yes, and then she went home. She was staying with a friend of my brother's from his fraternity at SC and down in Orange County. And I said, I'll come down and we'll go out to dinner tomorrow night. And I went down to Orange County, and we went out to a nice French restaurant. I didn't have any money. I didn't have a credit card even. I just had some cash. We went and had a nice dinner. Went back to their house in Newport Beach, up to their mansion. And we arrive at their house, and we go in, and it's pitch black except for upstairs on the mezzanine. Gone with the Wind is on the television, and Atlanta is burning right on TV.
Yeah. Okay.
And she excuses herself to go to the loo, to the bathroom, and I run into the spare bedroom, take off all my clothes, and jump into bed. Oh, and that was it. 42 years. 42 years. The love of my life. The love of my life.
Well, I want to talk about her a little bit, because. But before we talk about her, I just wanted to ask you. There's always been this story about Bill and how he met Louise. And were you with him?
No.
Okay. I'm not sure. So nobody seems to have been with him.
Bill's had a lot of stories. And I love that man like a brother, but more than a brother, because we were best friends, and we were so tight. I mean, I fed him hundreds of times in my home when he was a bachelor, when he was just hanging on. Loved him to death. We did, I think, 4 things together over the years.
You were neighbors in Ojai too, weren't you?
We did a bunch of videos and whatnot, but he kind of crushed me from Navy SEALs with a bad story that we got blamed for. So our friendship ended, which is unfortunate, after about 12 years.
What was that?
Do you remember the story? Do you remember the story where he took off and went into Madrid by himself and went to that club and?
No, I don't know this, Rick. I thought there were I knew there were problems, but I didn't, and I knew that you two sort of separated your friendship, but I thought it had
because of Bunny didn't want anything to do with us anymore. She thought we were gossiping about him or her.
Who?
So
who?
Bunny.
Who's Bunny?
Louise.
Oh, Louise. Yeah. Well, that's what I thought. There was something to do with Louise. Okay.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. So Bill had to choose. He had to choose, but Bill lived his own life, and we don't need to get into any of that problems anymore. But we got blamed for something we had nothing.
When you say we got blamed, you mean you and who else?
Eva, my wife.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
like we were gossiping, but we weren't.
Yeah.
I can tell you the story another time. What it precipitated.
Yeah. Well, what I had always heard, and I thought you were with him, and I thought the way that he told me that you were with him was that, he was in London, he's walking down the street, he sees a girl
on a bus,
get on a bus, the bus takes off. He goes running to the next bus stop to catch her, and she gets off, and it's like a very, very romantic, and ends up with her until
he's 27 and she's 17.
Yeah. But it's a very romantic sort of like, and then they end up.
Bill was the most romantic guy you could imagine. He was a very romantic person.
Was he? I mean,
he had a romantic.
Do you think that's? I mean, do you think that happened exactly like that?
Probably. It could have happened.
Yeah. Well,
but the other thing didn't happen, and we got blamed for it, and that's unfortunate,
Well, I knew that. I knew there was some sort of falling out, and I don't give a shit about that. The last time, Rick, I really remember spending time with you, and Bill, and our wives was at your house, and you were working on your house. This is in Ojai. I think Bill had by that time had moved out to Ojai, and you guys were so smart to have gone out there. You bought a house, and I can remember being so impressed with your wife because she was helping you build a stone wall. I mean,
my right-hand man. She's my right hand.
It was unbelievable that, like, stone, like stone and like
she's
the
a tiny
grout
little thing
and,
too.
Yeah. No, she is she is a tiny little thing, and but she was like busting her ass to like picking up these big stones and giving them to you, and you're like you're like the masonry, and
that was our second the other half of our life, our home life, and that really gave me balance to be able to get away from show business and to really integrate myself with a home life that kind of would bear some kind of fruit. Whereas, a lot of times actors are waiting for stuff to happen for them, and it can drive you crazy,
Well, you had...
I also just wanted to mention when I first connected with Rick over email, he sent me a bunch of pictures of, I think Bill was there, you're there, he's there, Gina's there, the Devin and Taylor.
At your house that time, from the time that we were there watching the what's his name? Jim, I told you the other day, the Chief Justice, the black Chief Justice, Anita Hill.
The Clarence Thomas.
We were watching that and probably all had different opinions.
Our sordid past.
Looking at your Coke cans a little differently at that point.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say, like, I wanted to like maybe throw some of those pictures into maybe at the end of the episode after the credits roll. I can do some slides of you guys hanging out.
Kaylin's a little baby, and Isabel's a little baby, my daughter.
So if you just stick around after that, I'll just put like a little slide together. You can see all those pictures for the audience.
Devin and Taylor and
you had
looking beautiful.
You had two children.
Yeah, Roy came first, and then Isabel is.
And how old were they about that when we were? I just remember them as like toddlers at that point.
Yeah, Roy was born in '86, and Isabel was born in '91.
Okay.
Yeah, and what? Kaylin, you were born in what? 90?
92.
92. Okay, so you were a big baby then.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see the pictures afterwards. I was a little thing. I was looking at those pictures going, holy shit. I think you had me in the pool at one point too. I was like, wow.
You got your mom's good looks though, buddy. You got those brown eyes. You're a handsome kid.
Thank you.
Well, let me, like, we talked a little bit about Lords of Discipline. We talked a little bit about Frank and about that movie. And as I said, I rewatched the movie. I thought everybody was good in it. To me, it just didn't have, suspense. It didn't have action. It didn't have anything for women.
I was a development executive at Paramount when we were putting that picture together, and the script wasn't ready. For a long time, we were trying not to make it a period piece. So we had to come up with some reason why there would be all this discrimination being put on one of the cadets. And we were struggling to come up with a reason. And finally, we just threw in the towel and said, let's stick with Conroy's original concept that it's a black cadet trying to integrate this military academy and be the first black cadet there. So We made that switch kind of late in the process, and we just never were able to kind of pull the script together. And there were various, demands, certain timetables that we had to meet, and I think we just rushed that script into production.
Lloyd
It could have been.
Fonville wrote the adaptation.
Yeah,
He was a
he
good
was
guy.
working on it when the original was by a guy named Tom Hope, who was a very good,
Right.
very good writer. Yeah.
Exactly. It came and went, and it's just what it is, and I'm proud of the work I got to do, and the experience is what really benefited me the most. I didn't make any money on it. They paid us nothing, and we were, in fact, they held my last check because Mark Breland, who I lived with, he would call Bedford Stuyvesant and lay the phone down and skip rope for a half hour at a time. And then we got the phone bill. We got the phone bill at the end of the
$6,000,
and nothing was itemized. So I was on the hook for like a $20,000 phone bill. So
Holy
they were keeping
crap.
my last $1,500 check. They were keeping. So I sat down and I wrote Jeffrey Katzenberg like a 7-page letter on a yellow legal pad, and presented it in person to his office and said, "This is why I want you to pay me my last check, because I watched this kid. He was 18 years old.
Yeah.
The movie went off. I did my thing. I worked really hard.
Yeah.
You're stiffing me for $1,500, my last check."
Right.
And then he wrote me a letter. I wish I would have kept it. He said, if the acting career doesn't work, you should become a lawyer. And he sent me the check.
That would be
Katzenberg.
Jeffrey. That would be Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Well,
But we went on, Michael. I got Streets of Fire after that.
let me
That was just a straight offer. I got Terminator. That was just a straight offer.
let me ask you a little bit about Streets of Fire, okay? So, first of all, who was your agent? Who?
Well, I was with a small agent to get Lures, and then I jumped to ICM to Hildy Gottlieb.
Hildy.
Gottlieb.
Oh, really?
Hildy was your agent?
She was my agent, and then
Paxton
Paxton followed me there.
Oh my goodness! No
Paxton
wonder why you're
followed me
working for
everywhere
Walter
for
Hill. All
Yeah, no wonder you got the Streets of Fire.
Well, he knew my brother because my first real job in Hollywood was taking apart part of the Long Riders set
Oh,
for
cool.
Jimmy Keach,
All
so Walter knew me because my brother was in the Long Riders. Is one of the with Eddie Bunker was the infamous.
Oh, Eddie Bunker, the straight time guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They played outlaw cowboys, my brother and him. So Walter knew, and everyone was a big fan of Tim. And so Walter knew I was a young kid coming up, and
Yeah.
and Walter was a great guy. What a great guy. So, and Hildy was lovely. Biggest mistake I made was leaving her and going to John Gaines at APA.
Mm-hmm.
But Steve Martin kind of influenced me on that, so I went ahead and did that. But Hildy was first class, and she really helped me in those first couple of years.
So,
Take my hat off to her.
so you did Streets of Fire, and so you didn't audition for that. They just offered
Front credit. I think I was billed like 9th or something.
What?
It was good.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I got a front credit billed like I think I was in the top, 6 or 8 or 10, 6, maybe
Yeah.
number 9.
It's got a
we
pretty
always
big
looked at
cast
billing
too.
back then, right? We always looked about how are you going to be billed? What are they going to do? Where are you going to be? You get a single card. You get are you shared
Yeah.
card?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't a big movie star like you are off the bat, So
Well, I wasn't. I wasn't really a big movie star either. I mean, I looked at that, and Rick, I went in and I auditioned for the casting people. I auditioned
on Streets.
Yes, on Streets of
Okay.
Fire, and I auditioned for the casting director.
Wow.
And then I auditioned again, and then I went in and I auditioned for Walter Hill to play
Was it
the
for
lead.
Willem Dafoe-
To play
was it
the
for
lead.
the Willem Dafoe part? Or
No, the lead. The lead.
Michael Pare.
Michael
Okay.
Pare's role, right?
You would have been a good
Well,
choice.
Well, I went in and I thought I'd done a decent job or whatever, and it ended up going to Michael Pare, and
What did he have? He had like Eddie and the Cruisers. He had a couple things out.
Yeah.
He'd done a couple things that he had some heat.
He'd
had
done
the
a Walter.
voice.
He'd done the Walter Hill movie Wanderers, hadn't he?
Did he? Okay. Yeah. Hey,
Well-
listen, I was living on Clubhouse Avenue in Venice Beach at that time, and I get a call at about 8:15 in the morning, and an assistant director's on the phone saying, "Where the fuck are you?" I said, "What? Oh, fuck! I've slept in. Oh, how? I'm there. I'll be there. And I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I was in Venice Beach. We're shooting at Universal.
Oh yeah.
And God,
okay.
I made it across town. I'd never missed a call. Fuck,
Yeah,
you don't do
yeah,
that.
Nope.
On a $35 million
Nope,
movie where
nope.
they Duvetine 6 square blocks in the back lot,
Right.
and there's 200 extras there.
Yeah.
And I made a beeline. I get there. I'm going on the set, I'm wearing a New York City cop uniform
Yes,
from the 40s,
yeah.
and I'm putting that on. And I'm walking on the set, and there's Joel Silver standing where I'm supposed to be, doing my
doing your
lines.
stand-in. Oh my God.
And I look over, and
Oh
there's
my-
Michael Pare in the driver's seat of the car, his fancy car, the convertible.
Yeah.
And there's an oxygen tank on a stand next to the car, and he's breathing pure oxygen.
Who is?
Michael Pare.
Why?
Because he was so fucking bent.
What do you mean bent?
Well, like from the night before, they were getting him back to life.
Explain. Was he hot?
I think he was drinking or what. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
But all of a sudden, the fucking pressure didn't feel so hot on me. I was,
You didn't need any oxygen when you showed up and they had oxygen on him. Oh my God!
So I said, thank you, Joel. Sorry, everybody. And Michael's looking at me like, oh, okay, what's going on? And we finished the scene, and that was another time on.
Go ahead.
Another time on that movie. So we're doing the huge scene where Willem Dafoe and they're fighting with like sledgehammers.
Yes.
And it's so boring. There's like hundreds of us on the set watching this thing that's going to take 2 or 3 days to shoot. And Paxton's there with his gold tooth. He was wearing a gold jacket on his tooth. And Amy Madigan and everyone, Rick Moranis, and everyone's there. And Paxton says, fuck, man, let's go look around the back lot. There's a lull in the action here. And so we kind of took off. And I never really did this too much in my career, Michael, but I smoked some pot then because Paxton.
He was a bad influence on me too.
But all of a sudden, I hear on the microphone, the Rick Rossovich, Bill Paxton, where are you? We need you on the set.
Was this the same day you showed up? Was this the same day?
It's so fucking hot. I've taken off my entire costume. Bill's still in costume. So Bill kind of just sneaks back on. And here I am with no costume on. And everyone's watching me put my costume on because I left it on the set at least. And I get my costume on and I go over and I'm standing next to Rick Moranis. And he looks at me and he goes, "You're high." He goes, "Rossovich is high."
Oh man!
I didn't give a fuck. You know what?
Yeah. Yeah.
That movie could have been great too.
Well,
that was quite a set they built at Universal. I remember going over and taking a look at it and just being real impressed.
I watched the movie also because of I knew I was going to talk to you,
right?
And
Diane Lane and
I felt that that could have been written a little. I think there was a lot of kind of extra dialogue. There was just a lot of extra.
Too much.
Too much kind of dialogue that didn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
And I.
The elements with the motorcycles and the cars and the action and the music. There was enough. You just needed. You know what? I tell you what. The 30-minute music video kills the movie. There's a 30-minute video of the music just going. Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. Mm-hmm. We got through it. It cost Universal a bunch of money.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I was joking to Jim about earlier after I watched it was the fact that Willem Dafoe was able to continue working and become the star that he is after wearing that wardrobe
Yeah, he
in
was
that
good.
movie, which was sort of what farmers used to wear, like those overalls, but
Bib overalls, yeah.
like a real
And he was-
gay version
And he
of
was
it.
so skinny, but he was like a wire too at the same
Yeah.
time. And he was so pale. They wanted him pale. He just would walk around with an umbrella, a black umbrella, and just keep the sun off of him. He was a great guy, great guy. And all these
I
people
can-
came to my house and visited, during that time frame. And I had a house in Hollywood by then. We moved from Venice, and I bought a house. That house I was fixing in the Hollywood Hills that I worked on for about 8 years. Beautiful
Cool.
place. I threw a bunch of parties there. It was a wonderful time. And then Terminator came after that, right?
Yeah.
Well, it came. We shot it in '83, so
Yeah.
I don't know when. I mean, yeah,
All the shit was stacked on top of itself, and I got offered that too. I didn't audition for Cameron.
Oh,
I
you
just got the
did.
offer.
That's
Yeah.
That's strange that Jim auditions everybody, man.
I never
That's,
met anybody. They just said, and then I was working out at a gym in Venice Beach, and Arnold was in that gym. And so I was watching him, and he came in to pump a little bit, and he went over to the keyboard. They used to put their keys on the board, in the old days in gyms. And I went over and I kind of cornered him. I said, "Hey, I guess we're in a movie together." And I was like being a dick, like I can be, right?
yeah, you can. Yeah, you can, or could.
I wanted to challenge him, And,
Yeah.
And I gave it to him, and then I had a hearty laugh, and he,
Yeah,
we became like
yeah.
buddies. We instantly. I was really jealous. I didn't get to go shoot the guns with you and Franco and all that day. You got to go do that with the and I wasn't part of. I had a couple extra scenes in the original script that we never shot.
Really?
There was a scene in the gym where I was pumping iron, because my take on that character was I was the antithesis of Kyle Reese. You were the pure kind of the savior, the golden boy, and I was just like Lothario, kind of just want to fuck and
Boy
don't
toy,
give a
yeah.
shit about anybody, and until I get caught, and then I deserve my ending that I get. It's funny. I would come on the set, and Arnold would be there with a cigar, and
Yeah.
he'd be in his chair, and I'd walk over to him and I'd say, "God, man, you are so beautiful." Oh. He would say, and 'cause I was a huge fan of his as a kid, as a teenager, pumping iron,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I never thought I would meet him.
Yeah,
Fuck.
right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I had the book. I was in the gym. I wanted to be him. And all of a sudden I'm in a fucking movie with him 5 years later. And so I was teasing him, and we'd laugh. And then we're doing that scene at the end, and it's different in the movie. I don't know. Something happened in the edit. Jim didn't use these takes, but the way we shot it is Arnold, when he kills me, the coup de grace, he throws me through a door.
Yes.
And my head comes through the door.
Yes.
Right, but that's not in the movie. I don't think. The last time I saw it,
Yeah, it's in the movie. Of course, it's in the movie, and that's what freaks her out. And she drops all the food because she's in the hallway.
and she sees my head through.
I believe so. Yeah, I mean that's the way that I remember.
So
it.
I'm
only
in my
seen it
underwear. I'm wearing a pair of socks, and Jim has put me through my head through the door, and the camera's just on me with my head through the door, and Arnold's going to kick the door down and come out and then, kill her or whatever he does, right? And Jim yells action, and all of a sudden, nothing happens for just a two beat, and all of a sudden, a big crack. Arnold slaps my ass. He goes, "Oh, Rossovich, your ass is so beautiful." And he starts to hump me a little bit from behind. This is a joke, right? And I don't break. I say, "Bullshit, I'm not breaking."
right.
Forever. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Come on, let's go. And then he kicks it through and he comes through. He was he was a joy to be around.
Yeah.
I loved working with him. In fact, when we were doing Navy SEALs, he called me and said, "Do you want to be in this thing I'm directing, Tales of the Crypt with Kelly Preston, where I do this body exchange with William Hickey." So he used me again, and we got to work again. And I love Arnold. I love him to this day.
Yeah.
I got to go to his house with Clint Eastwood, have dinner with him, and watch that episode we shot for Tales of the Crypt. It was a great evening. And I said to Eve, I said, "You'll be careful. He might want to grab your ass, but it's only so don't worry.
That's
This is only for me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
Fun loving, great guy. I couldn't. You know what? Nobody's like him.
Arnold.
He's a one-off.
Oh, of course. No, I know.
Yeah.
No.
Love him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I didn't get to have a scene with you. I didn't get it. I was kind of, and I was just kind of, I felt like not really connected to the movie in a way other than those, I was only on it for a couple of weeks, a few weeks, and it was day here, day there. And then they cut those scenes because they were saving money and time.
Well, they cut, Jimmo's always cut, he cut when I read the script, there was a scene in it that I thought, okay, this is Kyle Reese's big script where he kind of breaks down and he can't believe like what the real world's like and everything. And that was the script that I looked forward to, thinking this is my big one. This is my big one. Cut. Right. Also, I was with Sigourney Weaver when he told Sigourney that in Aliens, all the early stuff with her child, there was a lot of stuff that was shot, gone. And so it's not surprising to me that there would be something, but the way that I remember the movie, Rick, and I've only seen it about 400 times, is that, first of all, I wanted to ask you, was that you or a stunt guy who goes up against?
That was a stunt guy.
That was
they
a
sprayed
stunt
him with hairspray all over his body, and they threw him through an actual sliding glass door.
Yeah. Okay. The way that
and I tell you, here's the deal. You can Google, Worms Roxanne or Slider You Stink, or you can Google "Don't Make Me Bust You Up, Man." You can Google that anywhere in the world. Anybody can do it, and my face is going to come up. If I have these lines, they're just going to come up. And so Arnold's about to kill me, and I say to Cameron, I say, "Fuck, you know what? I'm just going to get beat to shit here. I don't get to do anything. I don't get to say anything. What, huh?" And Jim goes, "Oh God, what do you want to say? What do you need to say?" I said, "I don't know. I can come up with something." And so when I grabbed the lamp, I said, "Don't make me bust you up, man," which is kind of like, so it's just worth nothing, right?
Yeah. No, it works. It works.
It
works beautifully because you just think he's a human being, And so, yeah. No, the way I remember it, like your head goes through the door or the window or something, and she's dancing along and
20-minute workout girl.
And she sees your head go through, and then she flips out. That scene where he goes into slow motion and she's crawling on the ground, and that's
that's almost X-rated in a weird way.
Yeah, that was
cold-blooded murder.
That was real hardcore stuff.
Gosh.
And so
that took me to the morning after, where I got to work with Sidney Lumet.
What?
How about that?
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
What?
Jane Fonda, Raul Julia.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that. Tell me about that.
He called me Ricky Baby. Imagine Sidney Lumet calling me Ricky Baby. Ricky Baby, come here. American Zoetrope Studios. Frederick Forrest was working on something over there. Jane Fonda was in this movie. I played like some cop character, just for a few weeks. But imagine I get to work with fucking Sidney Lumet.
Yes.
I mean,
we've talked about him.
They don't get any better.
No.
Yeah, Ricky Baby. And I was a baby in a weird way, because I was scared out of my wits sometimes, and sometimes I was so full of life, Michael. You saw me at full power sometimes, and then sometimes I would say, "What the fuck am I? I don't know. Can I even remember the fucking line?
Yeah.
Can I get through this?
Yeah.
Nerves, and you have to have that confidence. You have to, And Bill Paxton would always say, "I walk on the set and I got the biggest balls of everybody here." He would say, he would have to pump himself up too, and it's a weird thing, In hindsight, I could have I could have done relaxation things. I could have helped myself. I could have worked out things. I could have, not gotten into a tense pattern. And because acting has to be, in its purest form, you got to relax.
Yes. Yeah.
Even if you're going to be over the top and crazy, there has to be relaxation to it. But that was a great experience to be around him and to be, to watch,
To be around who?
And the movie was,
To be around
the
who?
movie wasn't much.
Who?
The morning after.
To watch who? Oh, Lamette?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Do you know that movie, Jim? The Morning After? I'm not even familiar with that.
Jane Fonda.
Yeah, and Jeff Bridges.
Oh,
Bridges.
she wakes up and there's a dead guy in bed with her,
yeah.
right? Yes, yeah. And did you work with Jeff, or was he around, or do you
I
know
don't
Jeff?
even remember, Michael. It was just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it was a few, I was on it for maybe a month or something.
Right.
Pick up, come in, do it, walk around, kind of like Ricky Baby. Wet behind the ears. Oh man. But I was in the mix. I was getting myself on lists by then, to get on list. And then Top Gun came and it was like, okay, 1985. I don't know if there's anything else in between those things, but
Someone dirtier than you are doing music.